Hi there, this is Dr. Brett Bingham from Intermountain Pet Hospital, and I am welcoming you to this week's segment of the Question of the Week. So the question of this week is, what should my dog chew on? I get that question almost on a daily basis. What should my dog chew on? And the first question that I'm going to give is, should my dog chew on anything? And the answer is yes. You know, there's many reasons why dogs should chew on things. Number one, it keeps their jaw strong, keeps their bones in their jaw strong, it keeps their teeth strong, and they enjoy it. You know, dogs enjoy chewing on things. But also, almost equally as important, is chewing prevents 70% of dental disease. So dogs that chew aggressively on something for anywhere for 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, anytime they chew on something pretty aggressively for 10-15 minutes, it prevents 70% of dental disease. So that's a huge benefit to chewing on something. So the reason why dogs should chew on things is, number one, keep the mouth and the jaw and the bone and the teeth strong. They enjoy it, and it helps keep the teeth clean. Okay, before we talk about what your dog should chew on, I want to mention some things that I recommend your dog doesn't chew on. And I'm just going to list them and tell you why I believe that's the case. But things that are really hard, Antlers, Nylabones, I try to avoid. Those pizzle sticks, the bully sticks, those all tend to cause a problem. But anything really, really hard, or bones that you buy from a grocery store or a pet store that are processed, that have been cooked or bleached or put through some type of a process so they can sell them. Everything that gets sold in a store has to be sterile, and it has to go through a process to be sterile. Pretty much all of those carry a really high risk of, number one, breaking teeth, particularly Nylabones. I would say 80% of the broken teeth that I see are from Nylabones, and I believe that's because the dogs sink their teeth into it and then they kind of shear, and that pops the crown off the tooth. So I would definitely avoid Nylabones, but anything hard, super hard, is going to create some problems. And I'm speaking from experience. This is just from 20 years of veterinary experience, and I do an exam, I open a dog's mouth, I see a broken tooth, and I ask the owner, what is your dog chewing on? And in most cases, it's one of those things I just mentioned, you know, a bully stick, processed bones, or Nylabones. Those are the big ones. Okay, so I would avoid those things. Now let's talk about what your dog should chew on. And really I put this in 4 categories, and that is raw bones. I like raw bones a lot. Some type of a dental chew like a Greenie or a vet. The next one would be rawhides. I think rawhides are fine. And then the last thing would be like a Kong, which is the rubber thing that's got some type of a filler in it, like peanut butter, Cheese Whiz, something that they like. But let's talk about raw bones. Okay. Raw bones are natural. Dogs love chewing on them. One thing that's interesting is large dogs enjoy chewing on things more. Like Labrador Retrievers like to chew on things all the time. Yorkies do not. So not every dog is created equal. The larger dogs like to chew more, which is good, and a lot of times they have healthier teeth because of that, and the small dogs don't like to chew on much, and they have bad teeth, which is kind of ironic. The dogs who really need to chew on things don't do it. Those are the small breeds who are predisposed to dental disease. So there really is no one-size-fits-all for an answer for what your dog should chew on, but I will say that the larger dogs do generally tend to chew on things more than the smaller dogs. But some dogs are just different. They just don't like to chew, and if that's the case, then you use something else to help prevent dental disease. So bones. Their raw bones are soft, so you don't want to use a bone that's been cooked or processed. It has to be a raw bone you get from the butcher. The size of the bone, about half the size of the skull of your dog. So if your dog's head is about this big, you get a bone that's about half that size. It needs to be big enough so that they can really chew on it, not so small that they can swallow it. You don't want them to swallow the bone. But they're soft so that if they do break off a piece, it'll pass, and it's digestible. That's another thing about bones, is that they're digestible. They're cheap. You can get them from any high-quality butcher. If you could just go to a butcher and ask for a bone, they'll usually give it to you or won't charge you much for it. But raw bones are great. Now there's some rules that I want to chat a little bit about. So if you give a dog raw bone, let it chew on it for an hour or so, and then it's done its benefit. The dog's enjoyed it. You can pick it up, put it in the freezer, pull it out the next day, let the dog chew on it for another hour or two, and you can probably do that 3 or 4 days. After 3 or 4 days, it's time to throw the bone away and get a new one. By then, you're starting to build up bacteria and can create an infection. That's probably the biggest risk with using a raw bone is infection. I rarely see fractured teeth from raw bones. It's much more common with the cooked bones, the filler in it. So that's the question of the week. Hopefully that enlightens you and gives you information you can take and enjoy. Have a great week.